to the last topic of cardiovascular section, that is anti-hyperlipidemic drugs. So in this section we will be discussing about the drugs used in the treatment of dyslipidemia or hyperlipidemia, and also we will discuss something about drugs used in the treatment of obesity. Okay, so let us start with dyslipidemia. What is dyslipidemia? Here we know that any derangement in the lipid profile, that is, if there is too much of LDL cholesterol, this is also termed as dyslipidemia. If there is too much of triglyceride in blood, then this is also dyslipidemia. And lastly, if there is too much of cholesterol, total cholesterol in blood, then also it is called as dyslipidemia. While in case if there is low HDL, we know that HDL is a good cholesterol, so if the levels of HDL is low, then this is also termed as dyslipidemia. So for just reference, I have mentioned here the normal values of different these parameters. Like for LDL cholesterol, the normal level is less than 150 milligram per deciliter. For triglyceride, it is less than 100. For total cholesterol, it is less than 150. And for HDL, it should be more than 60. Okay, so for this is normal lipid levels, or you can say normal lipid profile. So why we are concerned about dyslipidemia? Now we know one term, atherosclerosis. We have studied this in pathology. So why we need to look after this atherosclerosis? See, atherosclerosis has at least 4 risk factors. Okay, atherosclerosis has at least 4 risk factors, like smoking, then this dyslipidemia or hyperlipidemia. Okay, dyslipidemia or hyperlipidemia, and then it is diabetes mellitus. Okay, and lastly hypertension. So these are the 4 risk factors for atherosclerosis. These are the 4 major risk factors for atherosclerosis. So what can be the complication of atherosclerosis? We know that there will be formation of fatty streak, then that can lead a fatty streak that can lead to for the formation of atheroma, and then ischemia, which can lead to different cerebrovascular diseases and cardiovascular disease. In cerebrovascular disease like stroke, and in cardiovascular we know ischemic heart disease. So for to prevent this, we have to treat dyslipidemia or hypercholesterolemia. So our treatment goal is to reduce the LDL cholesterol level. We know that LDL is a bad cholesterol, and we also know that if there is too much of LDL cholesterol, there will be oxidation of LDL, leading to generation of atheroma plaque, and we have to prevent this formation. So for the treatment of dyslipidemia, we will be giving anti-hyperlipidemic drugs. Now this diagram shows about the lipid metabolism. So let us revise this in short. Okay, so we can see here that chylomicron, which is produced by the or which is produced from the dietary lipids. Okay, chylomicron is rich in cholesterol. So from small intestine, that is from dietary lipids, this chylomicron is produced and is secreted in the blood. Likewise, VLDL is synthesized from the liver, and this is also rich in cholesterol. Okay, especially the triglyceride levels. VLDL is rich in triglyceride levels. So they are secreted in the blood. Okay, and here we can see under the influence of extracellular, that is the extracellular lipoprotein lipase, which is present in fat tissue or adipose tissue, this VLDL and chylomicron unloads its triglyceride level and triglyceride to the adipose tissue for storage. Okay, so this is important, that triglyceride content of chylomicron and VLDL under the influence of enzyme lipoprotein lipase, which is present in fat tissue, unloads the or downloads the triglyceride into the adipose tissue for the purpose of storage. Okay, after the action of lipoprotein lipase, this chylomicron is converted into chylomicron remnant. This is important. Chylomicron is converted into chylomicron remnant, and which is taken up by the liver, while VLDL gets converted into intermediate density lipoprotein, that is IDL. And this IDL, after combining with cholesterol ester CE, that is cholesterol ester, which is obtained from the HDL, gets converted into LDL, that is low density lipoprotein. And we have different receptors for the uptake of LDL. For the uptake of LDL cholesterol, we have different receptors which are present in liver and also in the extrahepatic tissue like in skeletal muscles. So this LDL, through the LDL receptors present in liver, goes into the liver, and what liver does with LDL? It will utilize this LDL, that is for the cholesterol synthesis. Okay, so this is the overall lipid metabolism which we must know before proceeding to the anti-hyperlipidemic drugs. So talking about the anti-hyperlipidemic drugs or the classification, before going into that, let us see how liver or the hepatocytes is producing cholesterol and what is the need for producing this cholesterol. Okay, so under the influence of different enzymes, there are series of enzymes that are involved in the synthesis of or production of cholesterol by the hepatocytes. So one of the most important enzyme is HMG-CoA reductase. HMG-CoA reductase enzyme, which converts HMG-CoA to mevalonic acid. So this enzyme is very important. Why? Because this is the rate limiting enzyme. This is the rate limiting enzyme which is catalyzing the rate limiting step, that is the conversion of HMG-CoA to mevalonic acid. What is the full form of HMG? That is 3-hydroxymethyl glutaryl coenzyme A. This you should know, and you have studied this in biochemistry, just we are revising that. So this is the rate limiting enzyme and this is the rate limiting step. Under the again series of enzymes, finally this mevalonic acid is converted to cholesterol. Now this cholesterol can encounter two fates. One of them is it is utilized for the synthesis of bile acids or bile salt, and we know that what is the importance of bile salt. They will help in the emulsification of fat or the absorption of fat, you know that. Okay, and also this cholesterol is utilized in the synthesis of VLDL by the hepatocytes. Okay, now there are different drugs that can act as anti-hyperlipidemic agents. So let us classify them, or let us see the site of action of those agents. As I have told you that the rate limiting enzyme is the HMG-CoA reductase enzyme, and if we inhibit this, those drugs will be the most beneficial in the treatment of hyperlipidemia. So those group of drugs are called as HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, collectively called as statins, because their name will contain statin at the end, like rosuvastatin, atorvastatin, simvastatin. So they will belong to, they are collectively called as statins, and they will be inhibiting the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase. And if we see in this GI tract, we have certain drugs, or in fact only one drug, that is ezetimibe, which will inhibit the transporter of cholesterol, that is they will inhibit the absorption of cholesterol from the GI tract. Okay, so cholesterol absorption inhibitor is ezetimibe. Again, we have certain drugs that will bind to this bile salts or bile acid in the GI tract, and they will form the unabsorbable complex. In other words, it will decrease these group of drugs, that is cholesterol and cholestyramine, will decrease the enterohepatic circulation of bile salts or bile acid. Okay, so that they are getting excreted out. They are also collectively called as bile acid sequestrants. They are collectively called as bile acid sequestrants. Now we have other drugs that will decrease the, or that will inhibit the release of VLDL into the blood. Okay, those are niacin and statins. So we can see here that statins have at least two major mechanism of action in reducing cholesterol, or they can reduce the cholesterol levels by two mechanisms. One is by decreasing the synthesis of cholesterol by inhibiting the rate limiting enzyme, that is HMG-CoA reductase enzyme, and also by decreasing the this VLDL synthesis. Okay. Now one more drug is there. We can see here gemfibrozil. Gemfibrozil is a drug which increases the activity of lipoprotein lipase. Thereby, it will cause the breakdown of VLDL, and thus it will lower the VLDL levels. Now, one important point regarding this diagram, that in hepatocytes, if any drug in hepatocyte decreases the cholesterol level, there will be compensatory upregulation of LDL receptors which are present on the hepatocytes. So LDL receptors will be upregulated. It means that any drug that is decreasing the cholesterol level, suppose we take the example of statin, again by inhibiting this rate limiting enzyme, it is decreasing or lowering the cholesterol levels in the hepatocyte. So what I have told you, by this there will be upregulation of LDL receptors. So more of the LDL will be taken up by the liver. Okay, so indirectly we are saying that there will be more endocytosis of LDL receptors. Oh, sorry, LDL. Okay, blood LDL present in the blood. So thereby it will reduce the plasma LDL levels. We know that in the previous diagram we have seen that VLDL undergoes conversion to LDL. Okay, VLDL to IDL and to LDL, and this LDL is uptaken by the LDL receptors which are present in the hepatocyte. So this diagram should be clear. So suppose if we ask you that what is the classification of anti-hyperlipidemic agents, so you will first tell that the most important one is HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors or statins. Then you can say niacin, that is vitamin B3. Then statins, again they have the dual mechanism of action. So second will be niacin. Okay, third will be this gemfibrozil. Fourth will be this cholesterol absorption inhibitor, that is ezetimibe, and fifth one will be bile acid sequestrants like cholestyramine and cholestyramine, that will decrease the enterohepatic circulation of bile salts. Now recently one new class of drug, that is PCSK9 inhibitors, have been discovered, and we will see them in our subsequent section. Okay, so sixth you can write that PCSK9 inhibitors are also there, okay, which will act as anti-hyperlipidemic agents. So talking about these agents, let us see them one by one. The most important, I have already told you, are the big groups, that is statins. So let us start with HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. I have already told you the mechanism of action, that is it will inhibit the rate limiting enzyme, that is HMG-CoA reductase enzyme, that will result in lowering of liver cholesterol, and due to this there will be upregulation of, or number of LDL receptors which are present in liver or hepatocytes will increase. That will in turn lead to lowering of plasma LDL. Okay, we know that if there is upregulation of LDL receptors, more of the LDL will be from blood will be endocytosed into the hepatocytes. Okay, and this will also, as the cholesterol level in the liver is reduced, it will also lead to the reduction in the VLDL synthesis. And remember, in previous slide I have told you that VLDL contains or is rich in triglyceride level. So if VLDL level falls, obviously triglyceride level is reduced. So it can be used, or this statins can be used in the treatment of hypertriglyceridemia. Okay, so if I ask you that how statins reduces the plasma cholesterol level, so at least two mechanisms you can derive from here is that it will decrease the cholesterol synthesis by inhibiting the HMG-CoA reductase enzyme, and also it will increase the catabolism of LDL cholesterol. So by two mechanisms, HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors can lower the plasma cholesterol level. And here we can see these group of agents are reducing both LDL cholesterol and the triglyceride levels. Okay, so they can be used. In fact, they are the drug of choice in the treatment of combined dyslipidemia. Combined dyslipidemia, which is mostly seen with diabetes mellitus. So dyslipidemia associated with diabetes mellitus can be controlled by giving HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. And what are the examples of HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors? We have different agents like atorvastatin, rosuvastatin, simvastatin. Okay, there are many. So we can say that which one is the longest acting is the rosuvastatin. Okay, so likewise you have to know the name of the agents, and it is said that this atorvastatin and rosuvastatin have the maximum LDL lowering effect. Okay, at their maximum dose or highest dose, they can reduce the LDL levels to more than 50%. Okay. So just for now, just remember that statins are the major or the backbone for the treatment of dyslipidemia. No drug is devoid of any side effect, and this is not the exception either. So statins have series of adverse effects like myalgia, myopathy. The most serious one is rhabdomyolysis, and they can also cause hepatotoxicity because they are actually inhibiting the release of VLDL from the liver, so they can precipitate this hepatotoxicity. Now coming to why there can be this breakdown of skeletal muscle, that is rhabdomyolysis or muscle pain. See, the answer to this lies in the interaction of statin with farnesyl pyrophosphate. See, farnesyl pyrophosphate utilizes the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase enzyme. Okay, for the synthesis of farnesyl pyrophosphate, HMG-CoA reductase enzyme is necessary. And what is the function of farnesyl pyrophosphate? It it's in it undergoes series of steps and forms coenzyme coenzyme Q coenzyme Q. Okay, and we know that coenzyme Q is the part of electron transport chain. And why it is needed? Electron transport chain, we remember that it is required for the generation of ATP. So up to this much should be clear. So by giving statins, we are inhibiting the HMG-CoA reductase enzyme. Thereby we are inhibiting the synthesis of farnesyl pyrophosphate. This will again reduce the levels of coenzyme Q, and thus less ATP will be formed. And we know that for proper functioning of a cell, especially in these skeletal muscles, the function of sodium potassium ATPase pump should be intact, and this sodium potassium pump requires ATP. But here, after as we are using HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, there will be less formation of ATP, leading to this pump failure, and more of the sodium will be retained inside the cell, leading to cell swelling because water will be passively retained. There will be more of this cell swelling will be there, and there can be rupture of the skeletal muscle leading to rhabdomyolysis. So what we should do if the patient is getting statin? Clinically, we should always go for these some lab parameters like creatinine kinase level should always be measured. And for this hepatotoxicity, what we should do? We should do LFT, liver function test, and we can see different transaminases levels there. If there is hepatotoxicity, their level will be increased. Again, coming to the drug interaction, statins have important drug interactions, especially with gemfibrozil. I have just mentioned this drug in the classification of anti-hyperlipidemic drugs. So usually, if we combine gemfibrozil with statin, there will be increased risk of rhabdomyolysis. Why? Because gemfibrozil decreases the biliary clearance of statins. Just remember that gemfibrozil decreases the biliary clearance of statins, leading to their toxic levels, toxic plasma concentration, and that can lead to rhabdomyolysis. So the combination is always avoided. The combination between statin and gemfibrozil. And we know that there are series of these enzyme inhibitors that can decrease the metabolism of statins and can cause higher levels of statin, and again can lead to hepatotoxicity. So those the examples we already know, like in acute alcohol there can be enzyme inhibition. In cimetidine also we can see enzyme inhibition. So there are different there are many examples of that. I'm not going to in the details of those enzyme inhibitors, so you already know that. No, now one important point is that statins are contraindicated in pregnancy. So if a pregnant lady comes with dyslipidemia, you diagnose that dyslipidemia or high LDL levels, so what drug you will give? At least you cannot give statins. So this completes. Yeah, one more thing, that statins has different. This statin drugs have pleiotropic effect, that is they have multiple effects. Like it is said that they have at least 3 different kinds of effects apart from this lowering plasma LDL levels. That is, they have antioxidant effect. One is antioxidant effect, second is they have anti-proliferative effect. Okay, first one is antioxidant effect, second one is anti-proliferative effect, and the third one is anti-inflammatory effect. So these are the pleiotropic effects of statins. Now this diagram just summarizes what I have told you regarding the mechanism of action of statins. So here we can see that statin inhibits the rate limiting enzyme in the synthesis of cholesterol, that is the HMG-CoA reductase enzyme, leading to decreased levels of cholesterol within the cell. Okay, so this will decrease the cholesterol level within the cell. Second is that this will stimulate lower cholesterol levels, will stimulate the upregulation of LDL receptors. These are the LDL receptors. Okay, through gene transcription, it will cause upregulation of LDL receptors. And what will be the action of this? There will be increased endocytosis of LDL, plasma LDL, thereby leading to lowering of LDL in the blood. And here we can see this lower plasma cholesterol levels will also reduce the secretion of VLDL. Okay, so plasma VLDL level or plasma triglyceride levels will also be reduced. So now coming to the next group, that is bile acid sequestrants. So I have already told you that there are, at least you should remember 2 of them, that is cholestyramine and cholestyramine. What is the mechanism of action? These group of agents will decrease the enterohepatic recirculation of bile salts. Thereby, actually it will form an inabsorbable complex with bile salt, and that will increase the excretion of bile salts. So bile salts will be reduced, will be excreted out. So due to this, there will be compensatory changes in the liver. That is, liver will try to synthesize new bile salts. Okay, And how can it synthesize new bile salts? It will again, if you recall the diagram, it will cause increased synthesis of cholesterol by the liver to synthesize the bile salts, and that will lead to lowering of liver cholesterol. So liver cholesterol will be utilized in the synthesis of bile salts. So again, I have told you, and if any drug lowers the liver cholesterol level through this compensatory mechanism, there will be increased or upregulation of LDL receptors, just like we saw in statins, and that will reduce the blood LDL levels. But the problem with them is that, although as we are saying that the liver will be trying to synthesize more of these bile salts, there will be compensatory changes due to which there will be increased synthesis of VLDL. This is the adverse effect. There will be too much of triglyceride levels. So hypertriglyceridemia can be precipitated by these agents. And again, as this bile salts are excreted out, so there will be decreased absorption of fat. So there will be more excretion of fat or lipids, and there will be steatorrhea. This can lead to steatorrhea, that is fatty diarrhea, and also there can be malabsorption of fat soluble vitamins. You know that those are vitamin A, D and K. There can be the deficiency of these vitamins. So again, what will be the contraindication? We already know that the contraindication of bile acid sequestrant will be hypertriglyceridemia. So this is important. So we will stop here and we will continue with the other anti-hyperlipidemic drugs in the next section. Okay. Thank you.